Bihar is a state in northeastern India that has some really strange customs. One of these unusual traditions, which is about 700 years old, is the Bihar Groom Market. Imagine being in the middle of a village in Bihar. A bunch of men have gathered together, but they're not there to buy bread or daily necessities, nor to purchase any goods. Instead, they're there to offer themselves as grooms. That's right. This is where the bride's family comes to the groom market to find a suitable groom for their daughter, without the need for modern or online intermediaries. Weird, right? We thought it would be interesting to take a look at India this time and talk about the Indian groom market. So let's get into today's program. I'm Ramtin, and this is the World Stories channel. Here, you hear about the secrets of the world from ancient times to today. In the historic village of Sava near the city of Madhubni in Bihar, India, a ceremony is held where, like a marketplace, the boys stand in front of everyone in the families of the girls. Usually the father, brother, or other male guardians come and choose a groom for their daughter from among them. So, the girls themselves have no role in this marriage. Here, there's no such thing as a love marriage. Everything is done according to tradition. This ceremony is held beside a pond in the village. All around it are sacred fig trees, banyan trees, and mango trees. These trees are considered sacred in Hindu and Buddhist traditions. It's said that Buddha attained enlightenment under a sacred fig tree. On the other hand, the banyan tree, with its strange appearance, its roots hang down like ropes from above, and when they reach the ground, they sink into the soil and grow like a new trunk. It symbolizes longevity, resilience, and family. People believe that if you make a vow under a banyan tree, it will remain unbroken. And well, mango tree leaves are also a symbol of fertility and good luck in wedding ceremonies. These ceremonies usually last between 7 to 15 days and are held once a year, or at most twice, during months when the weather or conditions are more favorable. For example, they take place in June or July. Just imagine, in the scorching July heat in India, a bunch of guys are standing around, each one waiting and hoping that today will be their big day. Because at any moment, the girls' families might come over to them and start talking about the dowry. I know it sounds a bit strange, but let me clear something up right here. In the groom market, it's the guy who gets the dowry from the bride's family. In other words, in this market, the bride's family chooses the groom based on his job, education, looks, family, and other things, and then they start negotiating with him about how much dowry he wants from the bride's family. For example, imagine a 35-year-old guy. Because of his age, he might ask for a relatively low dowry. For example, something around 50,000 rupees, which is about $600. But a younger guy could ask for 200,000 or 300,000 rupees, which is between $2,500 and $3,500. I'm 38. I don't think anyone would buy me $200. I'm just kidding. It's interesting to know that in some cases, the dowry amount can even reach several million rupees. Of course, an important point is that according to the Dowry Prohibition Act passed in 1961, giving or receiving a dowry is considered a crime and can result in up to 5 years in prison and a fine. The reason this law was passed was that in recent years, hundreds of cases of violence, abuse, or even the death of women because of dowry have been reported. In fact, if the groom's family is dissatisfied with the amount or type of dowry, if they don't receive the full promised dowry, or if they pressure for more, which is called dowry harassment, they start to mistreat the bride, and this abuse can ultimately lead to beatings, burning, or even death. In 2020, more than 1,000 women in Bihar were killed or committed suicide due to dowry disputes. That means about 3 women every day. Across all of India, in 2020, the number of dowry-related deaths reached around 6,966 cases. Nevertheless, despite the Dowry Prohibition Act of 1961, dowry transactions are still very common. This is a clear example of having a law but weak enforcement. What's even more surprising is that experts estimate the total amount of dowries exchanged in India each year is about $5 billion. Anyway, let's get back to the stories of the groom market. Let's see why such a ceremony even exists in the first place. Well, according to Hindu marriage customs, marrying someone from a different group is usually forbidden. But marrying someone from the same social class or clan is highly encouraged. In other words, the boy and girl are supposed to be well-matched or compatible. But they shouldn't be from the same clan or close family. The reason for this goes back to traditional, cultural, and even scientific beliefs. Because if people who are closely related marry each other, their children might face genetic problems. That's why in this ceremony, the girl's family first goes to people called Panjikar, whose job is to record and keep family genealogies. Once they're sure that their daughter and the intended groom have no blood relation for 7 generations on the father's side and 5 generations on the mother's side, and a certificate is issued confirming that there's no blood-related issue with this marriage and it can go ahead. That's when the intense and intricate negotiations over the dowry finally begin. Now, one rather strange and ancient custom in this bustling and vibrant bazaar is that when a groom is chosen, the bride's family traditionally places a special, distinctive red shawl, called a ganji, over the chosen groom's shoulders so that everyone in the community clearly knows. That means he's been picked. Some even say that in the old days, there used to be a public auction for grooms with excellent qualities. Usually, doctors, engineers, and government employees were the most sought after. Then, whoever won the auction would get that special groom. But in recent years, fewer people have been attending this ceremony, which shows that this 700-year-old tradition is gradually fading away. In fact, economic development and the migration of young people to cities have caused many Indians not only to become separated from their family land and homes, but also to no longer allow their parents to interfere much in their marriage decisions. On the other hand, with easy access to the internet, arranged marriages have gradually been replaced by the modern and online world. It's interesting to know that India has one of the largest marriage websites in the world. In addition, one of the reasons locals say fewer people are attending these ceremonies is this. It's because of love marriages. Young people have also become bolder than before, and despite opposition from family and society, even if they're threatened with death or have a gun pointed at them, they still prefer to marry someone they love. On the other hand, the media and politicians have also played a role in making these ceremonies less prominent, because they portray these ceremonies as if they were a marketplace for selling men, meaning a place where men are sold like animals or slaves, whereas this perspective doesn't really match up with local traditions. Many people say that if the groom's parents spent money so their son could become a doctor or engineer, then they expect to get some benefit in return. The dowry is also one of the ways they get their investment back. But in any case, anti-dowry campaigns are still being held. Many times, to solve the dowry problem, the bride's family kidnaps the groom they want and, using weapons and threats, forces him to marry their daughter. They've even given this operation a name, Pak Adwalala, which also, in its own way, leads to forced marriage. Still, some people believe this ceremony should be preserved as an important cultural tradition. Others say that this ceremony helps the poor by giving them a way to earn some income. For example, people from lower-income backgrounds come to the ceremony to sell tea. Back in the day, when these ceremonies were really crowded, a person could make as much as 6 months' worth of income just from selling tea. But these days, things aren't going so well for the street vendors either. But personally, I think it's really important for both the girl and the boy to have a say in their own marriage. So, even though preserving traditions is important, maybe some traditions are wrong, or at least outdated, and it's time for them to change. What do you think? Write your thoughts in the comments. Are you in favor of traditional marriage or love marriage? The Damaged Bihar Bazaar, with all its grandeur and vibrancy, shows how the social system, marriage, love, money, and cultural identity are all intertwined. But when the dowry becomes a source of pressure and harm, the tradition needs to be reformed, because we shouldn't let old beliefs lead to violence and inequality. In fact, a truly grand ceremony only finds its profound and true meaning when it aligns with fundamental human and ethical values, not when it becomes an undue emotional and financial burden.